This is it, Robert. We've reached the point of no return.
It's hard to believe. All these months, all the calculations. And it comes down to this moment.
I keep wondering if we've thought of everything. What if the chain reaction spreads beyond what we expect?
We can't afford that kind of doubt now. We've done everything we can. The test will be a success, or it won't.
If it is a success, what then? Can we live with it? What will the world look like?
We'll find out soon enough. History doesn't wait for our doubts.
I just hope we're prepared for what comes next.
We won't know until we see the flash.
to bones. Winds will carry all unknowns, but in the night the earth still quakes. Trinity screams but never wakes. Boom and glow, the desert cries. Atomic dawn, where silence contain a Pandora's box of endless pain. But dreams of progress lit their way, a flicker of hope in the dawn's decay.
So, you're certain the spread spectrum idea could prevent jamming?
Quite certain. The Navy's current radio signals are too easy to intercept, but if we hop frequencies rapidly and unpredictably, it becomes nearly impossible to block or trace.
Frequency hopping, like a musical scale dancing unpredictably?
Exactly. Imagine two pianists playing the same piece but switching keys every bar, in perfect sync. The enemy only hears noise.
And you're suggesting we coordinate the transmitter and the receiver with something like piano rolls?
Precisely, mechanical synchronization. Later, maybe something more elegant. Electronic, even wireless. But for now, we work with what we have.
Fascinating. You know, if we refine this, it could revolutionize more than torpedoes. Someday, wireless phones, secure data, devices actually speaking to each other silently.
You mean like a secret conversation between machines?
Yes, maybe even a future where every home has devices talking to each other, without wires and without noise.
Well, if we can make torpedoes dance to a hidden tune, why not machines? I still can't believe they're more interested in my films than our frequency hopping idea.
You're a Hollywood star, Hetty. They just can't see past the screen. But the Navy's finally testing the concept, aren't they?
Yes, but slowly. They don't seem to grasp how it could prevent signal jamming. Spread spectrum can make their torpedoes smarter.
It's brilliant, honestly. You and Mr. Anthiel were ahead of your time. Maybe too far ahead.
Sometimes I think they'd take me more seriously if I wore a lab coat instead of a ball gown.
Perhaps, but genius has a way of surfacing. Eventually.
Lights flashing, snapshots in the haze. Her face adored through endless days. But behind the glimmer, it wasn't enough. A world lurking of wires, gears, and stuff. Hetty, Hetty, Shadow Queen, not just the silver screen. Dreams of signals breaking through. They never saw the depth of you. Cameras rolling, a goddess they claim. But a mind like thunder they never named. Frequencies and secrets she wide, while the spotlight kept her genius untied. Hetty, Hetty, Shadow Queen, not just the silver screen. Dreams of signals breaking through. They never saw the depth of you. Buried truths in the vault so deep. Her hymns of future the world would keep. From codes of war to whispers near. Her ghost haunts every signal you hear. Radios pulse and satellites drift. Bluetooth whispers a delayed gift. What she saw locked in her time, now beating in a modern climb. Hetty, Hetty, Shadow Queen, not just the
Gentlemen, gather round. I know the weight of what we're about to do. The mission ahead will require more than just precision and skill. It will demand courage, resolve, and an understanding of the stakes we face here. You all know the targets, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But I want you to understand why this is necessary.
Sir, are we sure about this? I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around dropping an atomic bomb on civilians. I'm not questioning the orders, but how do we reconcile this?
I understand. This is unlike any mission you have ever been on before. This is a weapon unlike any we have ever used before, and the devastation it will cause is unimaginable. But remember, this is the culmination of years of war. We're not just ending this fight. We're saving countless lives by forcing Japan to surrender. More lives would be lost in an invasion, and the Empire has shown no signs of giving up.
What if we fail? What's the bomb doesn't work? What if we miss our targets? If we don't get it right, we may never get another chance.
Failure is not an option. You've been trained for this, and I trust each of you to execute the mission flawlessly. If we succeed, we end this war. If we fail, we have to take the responsibility. But I believe in you. You're the best that we have.
And if we succeed, what happens after? Will the world ever be the same?
No, it won't. It can't be. This weapon will change everything. But our job here, our duty, is to bring this war to a swift end. The cost of delaying this any longer would be too high. We need to act.
Understood, sir. We'll do our job, and we'll do it right.
Good men, I want you to know this. History will remember you. Whether it's for the better or worse, you will be in it. But right now, we need to focus on the mission. Once it's over, we'll deal with what comes next.
We're ready when you are, sir.
All right, let's bring this to an end. Good luck.
Steel bird humming in the hot night sky, eyes not blinking, mind's gone dry. What's left of a heartbeat slower still, headed for the glow over distant hill. Feel the weight, feel the trace, carry death to a stranger's face. 1,000 suns in a single breath. We ride the wind, delivering death. Hush voice buzz cabin tide, questions linger in the fleeting light. Is this the calling? Is this what it means to be cogs in the fury of high machine? Feel the weight, feel the trace, carry death to a stranger's face. 1,000 suns in a single breath. We ride the wind, delivering death. A shadow burns and we turn away, our hands choking on yesterday. No glory here, no victory here, just ashes drowning the sunlight dim. The beast roars forward toward its place, steel wings slicing through empty space. Conscience whispered, but the orders screamed. The soul lost here in the engine silent wings drift through the pale gray. Steel bird carrying death's dark sway. Shadows fall over morning's face. History burns in a frozen embrace. Metal roars, but the soul feels numb. The engines sing as the reckoning comes. Lives scatter like ash in the bitter air. A world lies broken beyond repair. Sun, but cold as stone. The desert blooms with a blinding moan. Horror etched in the hearts of men. The sky won't forget what was done back then. Eyes upward, a silence reigns. The echoes quiver and bleeding strange. The weight of choice, oh, who can say? The ghosts still linger from Enola Gay. Oh, Enola Gay, ghost in the sky. You carried the burden of a world's goodbye. Flames rise, screaming their anguish cry. Silent testament you can't deny.
Heavy sky, red as blood. Metal bird, shadows mud. Hollow voices, engines hum. Countdown whispers, deaf and numb. eyes of steel can't outrun the way it feels. Weight of fire shadows earth. This flight's curse is death's rebirth. Steel-torn skies bearing brave. No salvation, no relief. Dreams collapse beneath the skies. Monuments where sorrow lies. Final embrace that burns us through. Tell me, Father, what did we do? Echoes of power fall like rain. History carved beneath the pain. Steel bird rising heavy, air thick and still. Hands trembling, mission bound, forced by will. Engines roar, drown thoughts that could break. The weight born a stain no soul could shake. Crackles, distant voices fade. A shadow cast by man-made jade. Clouds below, a sea of ash and grief. Steel feathers slicing through disbelief. Boxcars fly. A message carried that tore the spark. In the silence that followed, no words felt true. A moment that unmade all we knew. Collide with skies so gray. Numbers etched where feelings fray. Decisions passed down by faceless hands. History writes in charred black lands. Smoke spirals rising where none should be. An ocean of fire replaces the sea. Echoes scream, but the skies don't hear. A world changed while death lurked near. Boxcars fly, a ghost in the dark. A message carried that tore the spark. In the silence that followed, no words felt true. A moment that unmade all we knew.
every sound. Echoed screams still haunt the ground. Pain unleashed, left souls unbound. Twisted steel beneath the haze, flesh and stone in molten blaze. Hollow eyes can't see the sun. History carved out by the gun. Fractured voices bloom in dust. Monuments of broken trust. Pledged to end but built to break. Man's great hand, what loss it makes. Ashes, dust, where homes once grew. Children shrill in skies so blue. Hiroshima scars won't sleep. Nagasaki's ghosts still weep. Sky turned to fire, scream of doom. Land swallowed whole in a blinding bloom. Shadows etched where lives once stood. Silent witness in a world carved the blood. Roar of gods in man's cruel hand. Cracked earth cries can't understand. Ashes dance where children played. Ghosts of laughter now decayed. Steel skies black and gray. Shadows stretch long, can't wash them away. Carrying the weight of a dawn gone dark. Echoed screams, forever the mark. Roar above the earth in a silent prayer. Each ticking second heavy with despair. Legacy burned in a flash of white. Eyes turned to ashes beneath the light. Oh, the wings of fate, they carry the pain. Enola Gay cast in a storm's cold rain. Souls cry out from the dust and the clay. Broken skies bear the weight of the day. Pilot's hands trembling, drunk on command. Gods of ruin etched into the land. A mushroom cloud whispers final goodbyes. No glory found beneath these painted skies. Torn horizons, silent as stone, carved in hearts where the seeds are sown. History's weight bows every spine low, falling tears, but no place they can go. Oh, the wings of fate, they carry the pain. Enola Gay cast in a storm's cold rain. Souls cry out from the dust and the clay. Broken skies bear the weight of the day. Scars on the earth where silence grows. Shadows burn where the wind still blows. The cries of a past that time can't heal, lost beneath the weight of cold steel. Oh, the fire that kissed the ground left a city without its sound. Ashes rise to meet the sky. A million voices asking why. Fields of rubble where children play, dreams erased, the skies turn gray. Gentle hands rebuild with care. Hope rises from the scorched despair. Oh, the fire that kissed the ground left a city without its sound. Ashes rise to meet the sky. A million voices asking why. Rolling thunder crack the dawn. The air stood still as the light was drawn from ghostly ruins. A garden starts growing love from shattered hearts. Mountains tremble as stories pass. Tears carve rivers through shattered glass. In their veins the will survives. Among the ruins life revives. born from the spark of a flickering flame, a gift of warmth, but it carries the blame. Lit up the night and gave us control, but the fire grew wild and swallowed us whole. From sticks and stones to steel in our hands, the heat of ambition scorched through the lands. From forging swords to shaping the sky, a burning creation taught us to die. You gave us light, but left us blind. A double-edged torch in the heart of mankind. From glowing embers to a mushroom cloud. Your wrath is silent, your sorrow loud. The flames danced high in the name of progress. A trail of ash left the earth in distress. We held the power, but lost the grace. The shadows of fire etched on our face. Fingers on buttons that no one should press. The weight of the flames, a smoldering mess. We play with the spark, but can't douse the pain. The smoke of regret falls like acid rain. Oh, fire, you gave us light, but left us blind. A double-edged torch in the heart of mankind. From glowing embers to a mushroom cloud. Your wrath is silent, your sorrow